Hello, my name is Alun. My pronouns are he, him, and today I'm running the last of a longish series of my game in endless development, PbtA game called Eotenweard. It has proved a very helpful series to see the game run across what I think is about 10 sessions, and we've tweaked something on the way. So want to thank the players now because I'll forget at the end for their generous willingness to kind of share their feelings about the game. Um, so that's all I'm going to say. You want to know more about how we got to where we are? Go back and look at the rest of the series. All I will say is that this game was organized and is being run as part of the Open Hearth gaming community. If you don't know about Open Hearth, please search Open Hearth gaming community and come play with us. Um, we're playing within the community guidelines, which I sometimes summarize as "Don't be a dick." Um, and I've played a lot with all these players, so we never have to refer to that. We're also playing with a set of safety tools. We're playing with lines and veils, and there is a tab if anybody wants to check in or update the lines and veils, go ahead. We're playing with the X card, and we've also been using stars and wishes as a debrief tool. And we'll probably won't do that at the end of this session. We'll do something else. So with all that in mind, let us begin again. But I think it's probably worth on this occasion if I just ask the players to introduce themselves for the finale and just tell us a little something about their character. I'm going to start on the far right this time of the character keeper. So Jose, this is you to kick off because I'm leaving Will till last. So Jose, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, tell us anything else about yourself you want to, and tell us a bit about Finn.
Hi, everybody. My name's Jose, and my pronouns are he and him. I'm calling from California. I'm glad to be here. It's still daytime here. You guys are already in the longest night, I think. Um, uh, I am playing Finn, the skin changer. He changes shape into a wolf based on a curse that the old god Carnunus put on him. Um, and He's kind of rough around the edges, getting rougher, and he just had some strengthening in the last. I think his connection to his god is pretty strong, and he's getting a little bit more ferocious and stronger as we go along. But he's well connected to his party, his pack, and happy to be here.
Indeed so. And I think it's fair to say that he doesn't just turn into a wolf, does he? He turns into a half
Half
feral
wolf
human
monster.
monster.
You can do both.
He can do both. Yeah, the wolf is the easy bit. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
the easy bit, yeah.
Okay, moving along. Sabine, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Caddock.
Hi, my name is Sabine. I use any pronouns, and I'm playing Kadok, who uses who uses he him pronouns. Kadok is a sort of god of the order of Saint Adrian, and Kadok has been trained from youth to fight monsters in the name of the Christ God. And doing this has put some very heavy choices on him to stay with the Christ God and not say, fuck this, I will keep my honor and not do the thing. But so far, he's been towing the line, and yeah. I mean, he's left his monastery. He's not really a monk because he's armed, but still, yeah.
And am I right in thinking that he's flirted with Woden the Allfather?
No, not really. That was just using the superstition. He's not really
Okay.
believes that is a being worth of worship.
Okay, well, we'll see what Woden thinks of that.
Mm.
Moving along, David, say hello. Tell us about your pronouns and introduce us to Ivan. Oh, David, I hope that's not a sign that his internet's gone down again. I'm going to go on to Will. Will, say hello, tell us about your pronouns and introduce us to Solinus, who's been away, but we'll deal with that with a love letter.
Hi, my name's Will. My pronouns are he, him, as are those of Solinus, the rogue from down south.
Okay, so we'll hope that that David can rejoin. My fingers are crossed. But let's have a look. There's a tab called David. Are you
Yeah, sorry about that. I managed to pull the cord out of my microphone and was having difficulties getting it reconnected again, but I am now back.
Well, do you want to say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and give us a few words about Ivan?
Yeah, certainly. So my name's David. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm playing Ethan, who uses they, he pronouns. Ethan is a wandering mystic of the Celtic gods. So far, he has mostly been turning up mysteriously partway through adventures and bringing to bear the will of the spirits. Yeah, I think that's pretty much where I'm at.
I think that's very fair. So yes, we know that Solinus has been away for a period of time. So there is a tab labeled Love Letter, Will. I will read it and you can talk to us. Dear Solinus, we know that you left to seek enlightenment at the monastery of St. Adrian. Tell us what happened on your journey there and how it hit one of your XP triggers, and then mark XP.
On the way there, Solinus was traveling, encountered some other travelers, some tinkerers on the road, and they came to a toll dictated by the lords of the land, or people claiming to be on the lords of the land, and no one had the gold to pay for it. And Solinus helped himself to some of the existing takings, and then went, "No worries, I'll pay for us all," as he handed their own gold back to them.
So you've cheated or stole in a good cause.
Exactly.
Mark
Yes.
XP. And then the love letter goes on. Then tell us what else you did while you've been away that might explain why, when you catch up with the other heroes, you will have benefited from one or two of the options below. And the options below are: gain a trophy that will grant you advantage once, gain an insight, the relevance of which will only become clear at some later date, or clear one debt you owe to your supernatural patron.
I'm -3 with the Christ God, so that seems like a well, I arrived at the monastery of Saint Adrian, and I spent some time learning from Father, not listed on Sabine's character.
Boniface.
Father Boniface. There we go. Father Boniface. Somewhere in my notes, which are too big to quickly find them. Yeah, Father Boniface himself. I think we with some suspicion, but when I showed him what Kadok had given me as a token to acknowledge my identity. Whether or not Kadok knows that I took that is a different matter entirely. But yeah, he was, and I went and I asked him about this growing darkness across the land, and what a man of the faith, a holy man such as yourself, could see that a ne'er-do-well, a sinner such as myself, is blind to.
That sounds like an act of faith to me, so I think it's roll plus soul.
Yep. Not very good at soul, but that's what I went there for.
Yeah, the link to the dice roller is in the safety and links tab.
Yes. And I got a miss, of course.
Oh, shame. On 6-, whatever happened, you were lucky to get away lightly. What did Father Boniface say or do that drove you from the monastery back to the heroes?
Well, the monastery itself has been beset by this darkness across the land. This thing of the Christian faith and the and the old ways, and even the Fae itself, all turn towards some dark purpose. Those involved all think or believe that they are, following these higher powers, but something is twisting their connection to these powers. I think that what it was perhaps, yes, a priest came and he warned us about you. And you know, Father Mangus had been there, had been there before me, and had turned the monastery against us and Caddock.
Well, don't mess with Caddock's agency. It was enough to send you away, and the monastery is beset by perhaps a misleading sense of the darkness. We're not going to visit it, or I think it's highly unlikely. Oh, you never know, actually, when I think about it. Let's see where that takes us. But sadly, you get neither trophy, release from a debt, nor an insight. Life's a bitch and then you die. Horribly in the Dark Ages. So if you check out the Leaving tab, I've been restructuring some moves in the light of both experience playing live at a con a week or so ago and your comments. So you'll notice the aftermath. When the climactic revelation scene has been successfully resolved, as it was, the Fates ask the heroes to describe a brief epilogue for each of the surviving NPCs that they will use to frame what happens next. So we've got in Garwlan, we've got Bran, the energetic British heir, and his mother, the ambitious Lady Angharad. We've got Mun, the burly priest of Woden, and Calbert, the secretive Saxon herder, who was burying votive items of Woden, but under the influence, we think, of somebody else whose name shall be nameless. So I'm just curious, does anybody want to pick on one of those and tell us what we see of them as you are preparing, in the aftermath of events, or as you are preparing to leave? I'll take a volunteer. Go ahead, Caddock.
I still have to kill Mond, right? Because God asked me to.
He did.
So I will do that.
How
Yeah.
so
And I have to
how
do it
we
secretly, right? And,
yeah, you will. So I'm just
without anybody
curious.
being the wiser. So I think I'll just follow him until he's alone, and then I will stick my sword into him until he stops moving. And I will make pretty sure that he's dead, because I'm not an idiot. Much.
No, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you're a sort of god. You know when things are dead.
Yeah.
And
I
so
don't feel
Mund,
I don't feel great about that.
well, did you stab him in the front or the back?
Whatever was convenient.
Well,
I think
then it was
I think Caddock would rather stab him in the front, actually.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm just curious, you know that followers of Woden have a thing about dying with a weapon in hand. As he clutched for his own knife, did you allow him to draw it, or did you deny him
No, I
access
did
to
deny
Woden's
it.
corpse hole?
I did deny him because God asked me to make a case here, right? That this against the followers of Woden, how powerless they were. So
Well, then Mund is cast into the outer darkness. He never reaches the corpse hole.
sorry,
He
Mond.
is damned by hell.
I mean, he's damned to hell anyway in my belief system, so it doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
Just because it's spelled differently doesn't matter. Okay. Who else would like to either dispose of an NPC or tell us
One quick question though,
yeah.
would that it says there, if the fates say that a hero's patron is sufficiently impressed, the hero
I'll
erases
come to that one in a moment. I'll come to that one in a moment.
Cool.
So who would like to pick another one of our locals? Any volunteers? David, you're unmuted, which means that Eithon is front and center.
Yeah, no, I was I think that what we see Calbert out kind of tending to his flock or herd or whatever configuration of animals he keeps, when he's counting the cows back into the sort of out through the gate from the pastures, and he counts one cow extra. He's a little confused for a moment. And when he turns around, we see a very tall, fine-figured person stood there, long gleaming hair, and says, "You played a little trick on us, so I think now it's time that we played one on you."
I like that. I like that. And Jose, as Will has pointed out, he wasn't here, so he's not here yet. So it would be inappropriate to ask him to. But you've got Lady Angharad, the ambitious Lady Angharad, and you've got Bran, the energetic heir to Lady Angharad. Which one do you want to just tell us a little bit about the aftermath of?
I'm trying to remember the aftermath of this whole event. I mean, it was the monster bird, right?
It was a very big, monstrous raven. It was. It was.
Yes, I was trying to remember that. And who was in the field with us when the monster bird attacked? Was it the goat herd, or was it the priest? It was the priest.
I think it was the burly priest, yeah.
The burly priest, who is now no longer with us. Okay.
And to help, I think that the final revelation was that this was someone or something trying to set both the Saxon members of this community and the Christian members of this community at one another by appearing to implicate Woden in some of the goings on. If that's any help.
Mm-hmm. Okay, gosh, I'm drawing a bit of a blank here, but let me look at the characters
Well,
again.
then no pressure.
Okay.
You know, it's an opportunity, not a requirement.
I'm seeing the Lady Angharad receiving a letter. Yeah, all I do is seeing her receive a letter, because she had written to the diocese, right, for help in terms of dealing with the darkness in the town, or no, to a replacement priest. That's what she had
That's right.
written,
She
had never gotten one.
carried a message to the bishop seeking a priest.
So this is a letter from the bishop, and if we're reading over her shoulder, we just see the line, "Beware these outlaws," and I'll leave it at that.
I like that. Thank you. So then, if the fate says the hero's patron is sufficiently impressed, that hero raises a debt they owe them. Well, I think certainly any Christians present can erase a debt, because I think that no one was quite certain who was behind any of this. Everyone was being implicated. The Fae were being implicated. The Christ God and Woden were being implicated in what was going on here. So Christians can reduce a debt by one. Well, those that were there, not Solinus. And Eithon and Finn, as believers in the old gods, I think that they're satisfied as well. So you can reduce the debt you owe by one. We're not bothered about whether this settlement is allied to you at this point. I somehow think not, if I'm honest. I think that events have been sufficiently disruptive, and certainly that letter to the Lady Angharad would suggest that she is looking on you lot with some suspicion. But even if the settlement would be glad to be rid of them, each hero clears all wearied and wounded. That includes Solinus, you've been away for long enough. So wearied and wounded can get cleared. But in terms of dying, and I think everyone has a bit of dying going for them. Oh, let me hide Black Jel for a moment.
Nope, Finn seems to be fine.
Oh, so he does. So he does. Well.
Wrong constitution.
So let me start with the person who has most dying marked, which is Eithon. Eithon, either you can either do this yourself. You can engage your gift and try to heal yourself. You can throw yourself on the mercy of the old gods, or you can look to one of either Finn or Caddock for help to get rid of this dying? Otherwise, it's going to stay there until some other opportunity arises. Oh, you are muted.
I think I might see if Finn is able to assist with my injuries.
I don't know
course.
if he can.
Oh, sorry, I picked the wrong one there. Sorry. Then probably
Caddock.
then probably I will reach out to Caddock as we have yet to meet back up with Solinus again.
So, Caddock, what's your feeling about this?
I
Arm
mean,
of God?
yes, I mean, he looks terrible, and God has sent me at the crossroads to with him. Sorry, I can't English today. Yes, he's my comrade, and if I can help him, I will, obviously. So I will lay my hands on him.
And roll plus soul.
Yeah, what's my soul here? +1. I'm very soulful. That's been nice, come on. Okay, yep, barely. It's a 7.
On 7+, choose one. Clear dying.
Yep, I'm choosing
Fine.
that.
And again, we've talked about this. I think it is literally that sense of laying on hands and wounds just heal over under your hands. Is that the
Yeah, I do pray to
Of
my
course, God, yes,
to my God. I mean, that's pretty much a given, right? Because, but you might sense that my heart's not in it. I've been more fervent before, but right now it's like I'm saying this, but it's like a road. But it still
Okay.
works.
So Ivan, you can clear all your dying.
And I will give you a mushroom in honor of Black Jel.
Excellent.
Yeah, we'll come to Black Jel in a moment. The person, David, I'm going to remove all those dying marks, right?
Right. Yeah, I get you.
The person next is in fact Caddock himself. So, is there any mutuality at work here? Are we looking to Ivan to help?
She can. I wouldn't mind.
What do you think, Ivan?
Yeah, I will attempt to
Because your miracles and wonders include clear dying or erase 2 condition or cure someone of a disease or malady. Down there on row 84. Who's got that far down the character sheet?
Excellent. Yeah, no, in which case, yeah, I will attempt to I'll kind of mix together a poultice and apply it to Caddock's wounds. And again, we'll kind of sing a small sing a short prayer as it does so.
And therefore you are going to roll with favor, the favor of the old gods, which
Indeed.
currently sits as a 1, I think,
It does indeed.
to invoke your gift.
That's a 12.
Well, what do you know? So on 7+, they empower the gift and you succeed. So clear dying, Caddock. That's all. But on a 10+, you also choose one. Your desired effect has a greater impact than you hoped in scope, scale, or duration. Choose which. You're at advantage following up on what your gift achieved. I'm not sure that's relevant here. Or sorry, I should have read this from the top, shouldn't I? On 7+, they empower your gift, you succeed, owe them a debt, or mark 1 harm as a blood sacrifice. What's your poison, so to speak? Owe them a debt, or
I will take the 1 wound there.
Okay. And then, but the other 10+ option is your patron refuses your offer of a debt or sacrifice, so take that one away.
Sure thing.
And erases another debt you owe, or a harm you have already marked.
Ooh,
Well, I think your
perfect.
harm is marked, so the debt is taken away as well.
Excellent.
Clearly, the old gods are more than pleased with you, Ivan.
Excellent.
And finally, we come to Finn, who no, everyone's sorted. I'm going to let you clear that dying as well, Solinus, because you have been away for a week or so. I think there's a decent chance that you will have recovered from that. I'm not going to let that hang on. So,
The one thing that the beast did for me before they ran me out of that monastery.
So the next one says the fate triggers, the road goes ever on and on. As the heroes leave the settlement, the fates ask them to agree which neighboring faction they are traveling into. And you are currently in Reged. So your options are to cross the mountains before Pictland, to Gododin, to head into Bernicia, or to head back into Gwynedd. Solinus, I'm going to ask you, because it may, given you're traveling from the Kingdom of Elmet, that may be a factor that you want to consider.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember. Where was it that we first met Mangus?
You met him at
In Brangawa, which was in Gwynedd.
Gwynedd.
Gwynedd. I mean, feels like there should be some sort of looping back, perhaps, to this.
Yeah, works for me.
Does that work for everyone?
It means that they're traveling south from Reged, you're traveling northwest from Elmet, so you bump into one another.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's fine. So we are traveling into Gwynedd. Okay. Then it says trigger Wyrd Bythful Araid. The fates remain wholly inexorable. So once the heroes are well on the road, the fate asks the player to roll for the faction into whose territory they are heading. Everyone else has rolled some dice so far, apart from Finn. So I'm going to ask Finn to roll for whether the relationship between Reged and Gwynedd changes. So currently, the factions you are traveling from is Reged, and relative to Gwynedd, they are neutral. So you're going to roll 2d plus nothing.
That's a 6.
Okay. On a 6-, the neighboring faction shifts its posture one step towards raiding, and the fates describes how this manifests. I think that what is happening, so now things have turned hostile. I think that the word of travelers you meet, the rumors coming out of Gwynedd, is that there is some power in the land that is disturbing people. Maybe it's the darkness that you're stalking, but yes, things have got a little more tense on that border. And then it says trigger encounters on the road. So while traveling into the neighboring faction, they have named, you meet Solinus. And Black Jel disappears. At the point you cross the border into Gwynedd, Black Jel isn't there one morning. It's the same morning that you meet Solinus. But all through that morning, you've been followed by a large raven. A one-eyed raven. And it seems to be just watching you. But I will roll 2d6. I'll use a green and a blue. It's the only dice I get to roll. It's such fun. 1 and 5 or 5 and 1. These are traders and entertainers. Or these are escorts and guards. I think I'm going to go with some Christians. it's a party of guards and a noble lady. And they are traveling from Gwynedd into Reged. If the faction here
Traveling with them? Perhaps I've been traveling with them on the road for
maybe
safety.
you passed with it, maybe you fell in with them. What are they fleeing, Solinus? They are refugees of a kind.
They are fleeing raiders. Raiders whose eyes glow like red coals.
Coals. Ooh. Okay. If the faction the heroes are traveling into is neutral or hostile, it is. Who has the lowest favor currently among the four of you?
I'd be Solinus, actually.
Say again?
Solinus, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, so
You're
it
at
is.
-2. I got
-3 to the Christ
-3.
God.
Wow.
Gee whiz.
But when you
Well,
start from -1, it doesn't take much.
wow. Okay. So you're going to roll -3, Solinus, in terms of how this how the meeting goes. It's as good as it could be. 8 -3 still becomes a 5. It is very clear to the rest of you that Solinus is being tolerated to travel with this party of folks heading north. And it looks like that toleration is reaching a breaking point. But they seem very friendly to the rest of you. So do any of you currently have a temptation? Let's start with Caddock then. Caddock, you have, which temptation are you, do you have 1 or 2 at the minute?
1. No, I only have 1. I still have pride marked. So
well,
yeah.
what the move says is anyone with a temptation must seek solace with these people. They're Christians, so they really should be prepared to listen.
Yeah.
Is it one of the guards, one of the people that are escorting this lady, or is it the lady herself that you wish to kind of have a conversation with around the campfire that night?
Do I have to seek solace with the NPCs, or can I seek solace with one of the PCs as well?
You must seek solace in friendship with one of the travelers, but you do so at disadvantage.
Oh, great. Yay.
I'll give you a chance to have a bit of conversation with one another if you want it in a bit, but
okay.
I want to apply
Yes,
the move
okay.
as
I
written.
think I will seek solace with probably one of the guards, maybe. Like
Okay.
I don't know how I would do that because I don't feel really like talking. So maybe I'll just figure out if they have something to drink, and then you know, a classic thing, if you don't feel too good about yourself, you go find somebody and drink with them, and maybe then
Fine.
that
So
goes wrong,
it's
then you
more
can
about
fight them. And I don't have to
joining
fight
the
them with friends.
joining the group rather than So let's have you roll plus soul, but with disadvantage. So 3 dice, take the bottom 2, add soul.
Okay. Yep, that's a 4.
Okay,
Yes.
on 6-, they listened patiently, but you have not found value in their counsel. Do not clear a temptation, and you cannot seek solace again until you reach a new settlement or embark on a quest.
I did not expect that would work, so.
Let me think. Who else is sitting on a temptation?
I am still as well.
Fine. Oh, you've got longing and fear, but you need to.
Yeah, longing is my
Longing is your
burden, but
burden.
yeah.
So fear. how does this just frame a scene for me where you're seeking to, you know, unburden yourself of these woes with some apparently friendly stranger?
Yeah, I think maybe we see Ethan with the lady who is being uh who is traveling, and I think maybe just for a moment he's just sort of sat with her, maybe playing. I think he has just like a little flute of some description that he's will play sort of a song for her, but will then kind of confide that, you know, it does seem that there are dangers all around these days, and that, you know, this is a time of darkness and so on, but perhaps not the most reassuring things to be saying to her. But I think there's just that sort of moment of like, yeah.
I think that if there is any reassurance, it is that she seems wholly unable to deal with these raiders with glowing eyes that assailed her village. So maybe if this goes well, it's because you realize that you're not in as bad a position as she is. Did it go well?
Let us see.
3 dice, bottom 2.
It does not. That is a 5 in total.
5. So again, you gain nothing from this. If anything, she reinforces every reason why you should feel fear.
Yep, yep.
Finally, Finn, are you sitting on a temptation? Not finally. Finn, are you sitting on a temptation at the moment, or just your burden?
No, just my burden.
That's okay then. Solinus, you're sitting
2
on...
temptations.
Ooh, Wrath is the one that's available to be cleared first, isn't it?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Because actually that hasn't changed, does it? I need to just hang on. We agreed, didn't we, that Covetous was the logical first and last. So you
Yeah.
take Covetous first and clear it last. So Wrath. Though in your situation, I think I'd be feeling pretty pissed off with the monastery of St. Adrian. Is there a priest with the party, I wonder?
Well, these are Christian
They are.
people. Yeah, so
They
this is a Christian lady and her retinue of warriors who may not be, you know, full on swords of gods and knights, but supposedly all pray. And Solinus will sit down next to Caddock and take a swig of that drink and look to the others and say, "Dark times indeed, when you know, the warriors of God can't ride forth against the darkness. In fact, they run from the darkness that affects the land. Where were we when how can we all come together? I mean, I know that this land is shared by the followers of the old gods, but does not the Christ Lord himself teach us to turn the other cheek, to reach our hand to our neighbors, to honor them, and to be kind, and to, you know, and not to slip our daggers into their backs, or to or to turn the other cheek from evil. And let's see if I can probably cause offense to them, if not to Caddock as well at the same time, right?
So 3d6, take the bottom 2 plus soul.
I actually succeed on that one. I get a 7.
A 7. How interesting. Yeah. On 7 plus. On 7 plus. On 7 plus, clear the temptation. So you've put Wrath to bed for a little while. On 7 to 9, recognize the wise counsel they have provided and honor their heritage by owing their God a debt. So owe the Christ God a debt.
Another one.
Even if you have not previously honored them. But you have. Yes. So Christ has really got his eye on you, hasn't he? That's what's shaping up here.
Wow. It give me those superpowers.
Indeed. But there is more to this. The fate triggers signs of importance unless seek solace in friendship leaves any hero in debt to the traveler's gods. If it does, the hero marks them as a new supernatural patron. Well, they're already your patron. and begins tracking their favor. You already are. If the heroes accept a quest on behalf of that new patron, the debt is immediately erased and fate triggers, the quest moves.
Okay.
Clear a debt to the Christ God, and one of the guards who's been listening to you takes you to one side and says, just wait a moment while the fates rolls on the quest table. So I'm going to roll 2d6 to see what it is that's at play here. So that's 5, 6, 6, 5. So 5, 6 is frighten, or 6, 5 is intimidate. I think frighten and intimidate is a bit the same, but I think intimidate is the action we're interested in this quest doing. And what is the object of this quest? 6, 4 or 4, 6? 4, 6 would be an innocent, or 6, 4 would be a power. Intimidate, power. He believes that someone, a power, has drawn or influenced these raiders that drove them from their settlement in search of safety in Reged. He believes that someone sufficiently strong in the eyes of the Lord can do away with that power and perhaps even free the settlement. And then the lady can go home. Where must you go? Well, I'm going to roll up again a location. You are going to need to visit 5, 6 or 6, 5. So 6, 5 would be an unstable, or 5, 6 would be a windswept. So this is going to be windswept, I think. Oh no, unstable. That's more interesting. Unstable. And an unstable what? 3, 6, 6, 3. 3, 6. High pass. We've been there. 6, 3. Roman ruin. Enough said. Their settlement was only half a day from this ancient ruin built by giants. Because who else could build with stone like that? There, he believes, is the seat of the power that is corrupting the land in the vicinity of his settlement. You, Solinus, you sound like you're strong in God. You sound like you know your scripture.
Well, God bless you for saying so, but I'll take your faith and I'll put it in my man Kadok here. If anyone can lead us to righteousness, it's Kadok.
That's the kind of faith you need, isn't it? Okay. I am conscious that it is 52 minutes past the hour. So I'm going to suggest we take a break until on the hour, and that will give me a bit of time to think about the nature of this threat, this power in the land. Okay, so I'll see you on the... Jose, would it be helpful if this was 15, not 10, just so you can have a bite to eat? Yeah, let's make it 5 past the hour. Is that long enough? Fine, 5 past the hour. And as we return from our commercial break, you know, there's that kind of previously moment from the first segment of the show, in which we see this burly British warrior holding his cross, you know, to the point where his knuckles are white, Solinus, and saying that there's something in those ruins, that's where those raiders came from. There's something there. Frighten it off. Destroy it. Free us from its shadow. And then you'd be doing Christ's good work. And so I think we then cut from that to you making your way towards this ruin. But I'm very happy for us to have a scene either around a campfire or on the road between any of you. So I'm going to start with Caddock. Caddock, does Caddock want a scene with anyone? And do you want to use that to trigger a move, or do you just want this to be a bit of character development?
The thing is, I want to have a scene with Finn, so I'll wait until Jose is is finished, and then we can do that.
Jose does
Or
say you can
Oh.
pause eating
Oh.
to play at any point. So
huh?
he said in the chat you can pause eating to play at any point. Right?
I can pause.
And there he is.
Okay.
There he
Oh,
is.
okay, cool.
So set the scene for me, Sabine. Where are we? What are we seeing? Where as you open this conversation or this scene?
I think maybe Finn is you have this amazing sword, right? And maybe you're kind of swinging it about, like trying to get a feel for it, and Kellogg's like, oh my God, and comes over and says, no, Finn, I don't mean to overstep or anything, but you have no idea how to use that, right?
Yes, my friend, I have no idea. You must help me. It's a beautiful weapon, but I've never been trained in it.
Well, then let's do something about that. I mean, you seem to have the basics down. You're holding it on the right hand, and the other hand goes into the other guy. But there are a few tricks that I can show you, so you don't stab yourself in the foot, which actually happens more often than you think. And
I can imagine us beginning like a montage of training, like in the forest there. And I think that raven is watching us. The one-eyed raven that's been following us has been watching us.
Yeah. And I will show you poses, like how to hold your sword, like standing behind you, holding your arm one way or another, and and then at one point I will break the contact rather suddenly and go over and take a drink.
And I think we also see some pieces of a montage of Finn getting kind of frustrated because he can't land a blow on Caddock because Caddock is so much better at the swordplay. I think Finn has there's one scene where Finn takes the pommel of the sword. Is that what it's called? The bottom end?
The blunt end.
The blunt end tries to strike out at Caddock. Caddock ducks, and Finn hits a tree and takes a big splintered chunk out of the tree, because Finn's a lot stronger now than he was before. He got an advance. Wow. And you can see him kind of grit his teeth and look up at the bird. And when Caddock goes to take a drink of water, he comes up to Caddock and says, I think that bird watches you, Caddock.
Yeah, I know why.
Couldn't have anything to do with slaughtering that priest back in Gallus.
Oh, you saw that?
Yes, sometimes I follow you around, my friend, to make sure you don't get into too much trouble. I know your Christian God can be very exacting.
Yeah, I did not want to do that, but I am but a humble. How is it? And I turn to you in frustration and I say, how can God ask these things of me? How can a just God ask me to murder a man? It makes me doubt everything that he's asked from me.
My friend, he is a bloodthirsty God, yours.
He says but he doesn't say that. He just says he's gentle and kind and turn the other cheek and love thy neighbor. And how does that fit? How am I serving a all-forgiving grace, God filled with grace, when he wants me to do this and when he wants me to, well, and whatever anyway, you know. And that was a good idea with the pommel, by the way. That's the...
I almost hit you. I would have squashed your head like a melon.
You have got strong, my friend.
Caddock, you have strength too, but
Not
you'll
that.
find a way through this with your God. And he reaches out and he puts his hand on Caddock's shoulder.
Yeah. And
Even if our gods lead us astray, we will find the righteous path.
Sometimes I feel like it would be easier to find the righteous path without all the gods interfering.
And then he looks up at the bird.
Yeah.
And the bird's watching us.
Yeah. Which is super awkward.
Which is super awkward.
And is that scene?
I think so.
I think so.
I think if you want to trigger seek solace in friendship there, Caddock.
I can't. I missed my other role here.
No,
right?
no, I've already rewritten that rule. It seems bonkers to me. It says until you are next on a quest or a settlement. So I don't know. I mean, it seems to me that your pride actually at the start of that scene, when you're kind of showing off with the sword under the pretense of teaching, but then maybe we see a bit more humility at the end. So let's try that. Seek solace in friendship. Roll plus soul.
Okay. I think my pride shows in that I want him to be good because I'm his teacher and he needs to live up to that.
Indeed.
It's not like I want to be like, ha, I'm so much better than you. That would
Even if he ends up thinking that, it's nothing to do with you.
I don't know what he's thinking. I can't dictate that. I'm rolling with plus soul, right?
You are.
Let's go there. Ooh, it's a 12.
Okay. On a
See?
7 plus, clear pride. And on a 7 to 9, you don't have to worry about that. So no downside to that at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's great. David, does Ethan do you want to frame a scene for Ethan?
Can I do one last thing in that scene
Oh,
just
yes.
to wrap it?
Sorry, yeah.
I think now that we have the role. I think Finn positions himself so that his back is to the raven, and he leans in and gives Caddock a kiss on the cheek.
I think Caddock will turn, not away, but into the kiss, if that's
Yeah.
okay with you. Because a kiss on the cheek, come on.
Under the watchful eye of Woden.
Oh.
We can cut there.
Yeah.
The kiss of peace.
Yes.
Yeah. Ethan, do you want to frame a scene?
Yeah. I'm wondering. I think maybe I'll catch up with Solinus following his return. It's good that our paths have crossed again, Solinus. How have your travels treated you?
God's will is all I can say for that, I think, my friend. I sought help, guidance, enlightenment from a higher power, a power that seems to have directed my own, turned my hands away from murder to healing, to good. And I've tried to live as a good man, but everywhere I turn, I see nothing but darkness across the land and in men's hearts and souls. Even the gods themselves seem turned against their followers. And I fear between the old gods and the one God, and those who you pay homage to, that there may not be much left for us mortals.
I fear you are right, my friend. The land is becoming increasingly hostile. We are seeing these corruptions, these beasts, wherever we turn, it seems. it is good that we can stand against this darkness, but I fear that the times of heroes are long gone, and we are entering an age where this darkness will spread.
I can tell you one place where it won't spread. To the heart of good friend Caddock, noblest among us. My hands may have been blackened with murder, but I know that every soul that Caddock has, every life that Caddock has ended has been in the service of the Lord. But I'm sure it has been just and righteous. Whereas I stabbed a man in the back down an alleyway more times than I can imagine. More times than I can tell you. I only hope I never do so again and fail my Lord. But together, I'm sure that we can. The time of heroes is not over, for I walk with them, my friend.
On that slight upturn in the conversation, maybe shall we determine whether how that is received by Ivan by rolling plus soul, Ivan?
Sure thing.
Because it seems to me that what Solinus is trying to do there is to kind of convince you that it's not all hopeless.
That is a 9.
Okay. 7 plus, clear the temptation of fear, Ivan. It looks like Solinus has helped. 7 to 9, recognize the wise counsel they have provided and honor their heritage by owing their gods a debt. So you need Ivan to go down to where the debts are recorded. And I am going to bold up the Christ God, and you are going to owe them a debt.
Sounds good.
Maybe there's more to this Christ than meets the eye. But how do you, now we've got the role, how do you want to tie off that scene, Ivan?
I think Ethan will nod and say, perhaps you are right, friend. Maybe there is still some hope to be found here amongst ourselves. I confess I have had little study of your god, but he certainly does seem to lend you and Kadok strength and mercy. So perhaps this is a new way that we can fight back against this darkness.
Perhaps we can forge the alliance and bring our gods together against this darkness, my friend. And I would like to seek solace in that particular exchange, because, never mind the god above you, it's the man next to you in the trench, right? So is that always with
Roll
soul?
plus soul.
Okay. Oops. That's 7. So I'll owe the old another debt.
You do. So clear the temptation, clear covetousness, and 7 to 9, recognize the old gods or Ivan's sound advice and counsel, and owe the old gods a debt. Yeah. Finn, you had a scene with Kadok had a scene with you, but do you want a scene with anybody else?
I'm open to one. I mean, I was wanting to have that one with Kadok, so I'm glad that happened.
I mean, I'm just asking each of you. There's no pressure.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what it might be.
Looking good with that sword, my friend. Now you learned a few moves from Caddock on the road.
Yes, Caddock's been teaching many many moves. Finn has been has maybe emerged from the tent or something, and surprised by Solinus there. It's good to have you back with us, Solinus.
Good to be back.
Did you find your path with the Christian God?
I found nothing but questions, my friend. Nothing but questions indeed. But I feel as though my feet are back on the right path now amongst you. But tell me, where did you find this most superbly crafted sword?
It was a great adventure, my friend. I'm sorry you weren't there with us. In a circle of stones, we met the Fae. Oh no, sorry. Back it up. Delete that. On a mysterious winding path, we met a Fae warrior, which we vanquished. And I took this as a souvenir. Caddock is teaching me to use it. And I do have a couple of flourishes. But it's too fine a blade for me. But apparently it is destined for me. I cannot give it away.
I'll be interested to see a wolf with a sword between its teeth at some point.
If I do have to transform, you'll have to keep an eye on my sword for me when I shed all my belongings. Good friend.
Something must have changed. People are trusting me with superbly crafted items. But
I know where to find you.
I'd hope to find Black Jel among you, but I suppose his path has always been a rather unique one.
He is fickle. He's disappeared. Maybe he'll appear again.
Always where you least suspect it. Last time he came up on me was on the dunny.
And I don't think there's a move to be triggered there because I think you're all sorted.
Yeah.
But I think I do want at that point a fragment of mushroom to fall between the pair of you. The ground. You look down and look up, and you just see a raven perched over there.
And Finn squats down, picks up the mushroom and smells it, and says, "This smells familiar." And he looks suspiciously at the raven. I thought I knew who that was, but maybe I've been mistaken. And he throws the piece of mushroom at the raven.
Raven bursts into flight, catches it in the beak, and disappears. Solinus, you're the only person you've been in 2 scenes, but I haven't asked you if you want a scene.
I think that was enough. I think Caddock's the only one, and I think I'm happy making apologies to Sabine, but lots and lots of meta barb references to what you had to do before.
Very fine. I love it. Caddock would not. And I think Caddock is actually, avoiding Solinus a little, especially after the thing with Finn, because he's Catholic, so he's guilty, feeling guilty now. Anyway, and yeah, I think he's actively avoiding Solinus. Solinus might not actually notice that, but I think Ethan might.
Solinus notices it completely, and to both Ethan and Finn, he says, I fear I've wronged Caddock by bringing him the ill news of his monastery, and I must confess that I must be to blame in some way for the darkness that has fallen across them. For I've basically just be like, oh, it must be all me. I brought this bad news about your monastery. I was the one who brought it down on you, completely misinterpreting your guilt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, classic. It must be me. It's not you, it's me. Then let us cut to approaching this ruin. I think, because it suits me, I think it is dusk when you approach this ruin, outlined against the setting sun. Because we've had a bit of sun involvement or not at several points in this series. That blood red sun again that you've seen before. It is the remains of a Roman amphitheater. but you can see that there are fires, at least one campfire burning in the center of this. Maybe that's the flickering light you can see in one corner coming out from the ruins. Who is going to lead the way to the ruins? I will remind you, it is an unstable ruin. Takes the lead. Is that Solinus because he was, we're here because of him, or is it somebody else?
I mean, if nobody steps up, Kadok will.
Kadok
I mean-
always does.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
his thing, right? If that's, or do you want to do it well?
I was thinking I might do it. I was wondering if our shapeshifter might be the appropriate, the right candidate for the job.
He might be, but I'm not letting him out of my sight. I mean, he still could roll, of course.
Well, somebody make a decision for me.
Was I? Are you interested, or if not? Because
Did you say my name?
yes, yeah, Finn, the shape changer.
Oh,
Would you
Finn,
like?
Finn. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So Finn's a little suspicious about this Christian quest thing, but he is intrigued by the Roman amphitheater. I don't think he's seen a lot of ruins like this before. So yeah, I think Finn would be happy to take the lead. He doesn't want to transform because he has his new plaything in the sword, so he wants to be able to play with it. So he's going to attempt to enter the amphitheater stealthily.
Lead the way.
In human form.
Fine.
Back among the rest of us, Solinus is going like, Finn will be perfect for the job because his animal senses will be able to tell if there's anything sneaking up on him in there. There's another flourish with his sword, right? Like dancing around.
And I think what I'm imagining is, maybe a third to a half of this amphitheater is still reasonably constructed. The rest has crumbled into ruins. Some of those ruins have fallen in, some of them have fallen out. So the ground is unstable here. So let's deal first with the unstable, Finn. How are you going to avoid the potential consequence here of just turning an ankle or breaking a leg? What do we see you doing that as a pathfinder means that people are not going to be hurt, making their way to a point where you can observe what's going on inside?
I think we see him kind of moving cautiously, but leaping from spot to spot and then testing each spot to see if it's stable before signaling the others to come along quietly with a hand signal.
That sounds like using his agility and his physicality. So I think I'm going to ask you to roll with steel to avoid people getting hurt.
So I will find the dice roller. It's an 8.
Fine. On an 8, because this is face a challenge, on a 7 to 9, you do it, but the fate chooses 1. You mark some harm doing it. So mark 1 harm.
All right.
But that's because you put a foot wrong and you were able to warn the others so that there's not a kind of a rumble as bits of rubble come down on them. And there's that moment when you kind of you misplace the footstep, and there's some stones rumble down, and then listen to see whether you've been heard, but you're not. So I think that's the simple way that you manage to avoid this for the rest of them. Now then, location. When you've negotiated the challenge presented by this place, I confirm which hero takes the lead. So I still want to know, is Finn still in the lead, or does somebody else know? Because what I will tell you is you've reached a point where you can see that there are a group of Saxons camped around a fire. Some of you think you recognize some of the figures you can see in the firelight. They are the group of...
They were the guys that were after Eithon, right?
They are the
Oh.
guys who are after Eithon. Thank you. Great minds. Thinking alike. Eithon, you weren't there, but when the others encountered these people, they were looking for someone who fitted your description. And now they're camped in this amphitheater. So who's going to take the lead now that you can see them? And you can see that one of them is standing somewhere away from the fire, near what appears to be, you know, the way that in Roman amphitheaters they sometimes had a subterranean level where they would keep animals or people. It looks like part of the floor of the amphitheater has collapsed, and one of them is standing guard at that point. So that's the setup. Who's going to take the lead and what is the plan?
I mean, if we don't have if nobody stops Kadok, he'll just ride up to them. But if somebody has a better idea,
I think
thank you,
Solinus is
Solinus. Thank you, Solinus.
Old friend Kadok, you say that they were looking for our friend Ivan there.
Yeah.
For good reasons or for bad?
I'm looking at Eithon. I think you can answer that better than me.
He'll kind of cock his head and think for a moment and say, my guess would be bad reasons, but that's just mostly based on the way these things tend to work out. I do not recognize these men. I don't think I've done them any specific wrong.
Well,
there's rather many of them, and whilst I'm sure that between you two, our two brave swordsmen, we could take them. It came to that. Why don't you let me see if I can even the odds a little?
Well, friend Solinus, I've missed your silver tongue. To be honest, that has been really sorely missed. Go talk to them and explain to them why they should go somewhere else, maybe.
Well, the player resists making some kind of pun about tongues and fin.
Yeah, I was thinking that, yeah. I mean, Kadok might turn a little red in the face while he says that, but he soldiers on.
Yeah. But Solinus will stretch his hands out and say, I was thinking more of my fingers. He will try and slip off into the ruins. And
puts his hand on you just before you jump off, go off, and he says, "Be careful, my friend. I smell brimstone in the air."
So what do you do? What do we see you doing, Solinus?
You see that
you
shadow
melt into the darkness.
Yeah, disappear into the darkness. There's a little crumble of a stone off there as he moves his way around, and I'm going to basically move my way. You know, they're sat around a campfire, so the night vision.
With one of them over there.
Yeah, so never mind the one over there, because he's probably within view of them, you know, like they could see him, but I'm going to go and try and take some of their weapons, basically, like quietly lift their swords away from them in the darkness.
Okay,
Neat.
Well, there is a move for this place. So I'm going to ask you to roll. That sounds like subtle, cunning. So roll plus cunning. Just to see whether you can avoid the threat here or get another clue. And then I'll engage the move that you're interested in, I think.
Okay. Yeah, subtle. Okay, I was just looking at the descriptions and I was like, it's subtle, more like charisma, but yeah.
It's cunning.
Cunning, yeah. Oof. I will help myself because I rolled a 4.
You did. So that is not good. So
yeah,
help yourself.
I'm invoking my calling. I am a rogue.
You are. This is absolutely what you are about, or used to be about, of course.
Yeah.
So you can,
as under his breath as he goes around.
owe your patron a debt and say how their help manifests, or assert your free will and mark a temptation.
I will assert my free will and mark a temptation. Because I'm covetous, I desire what others have.
And
So,
remember that, you know, if you have a relationship with more than one patron, you can owe them a debt if you want to. If you want to kind of begin to court the other side.
oh, Father, guide my hands. No. Black Jel, where are you? I need you to raven the lights upon the thing.
Flash of a raven's wing in the moonlight.
Yeah.
So yeah, owe your patron a debt or assert your free will. Which temptation do you choose? You have to take covetous
I have to
first.
take
don't you?
covetous.
Fine. And then re-roll one or both die.
3 and a 1. I think may as well re-roll both of them. And I rolled the same fucking thing again.
Okay. Maybe the raven disturbs them.
I didn't actually. I just took the temptation, didn't I?
So, you did.
But since I took the temptation, let it be that there's a gold. There's some sort of shiny trinket, right? Which I go to steal. Although I'm not even rolling that move, am I? I'm rolling the location move here.
You are. But the bottom line is the threat surprises you, and any insights this place might have granted you eludes you for now at least.
So perhaps this even takes place as I'm creeping around the ruins, as opposed to actually amongst the because I must have had to move into the ruins and around to flank them, right, from where we were.
I mean, the object was to go and, you know, quietly remove some of their weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I want this to be as we see a hand emerge from the darkness and grasp the hilt of a sword or the haft of an axe, another hand grasps you. So let's have you confront them. But I think it's a situation where you're not in a position to do any harm to them at all. This is really about what the consequence for you is going to be.
Okay.
So 2d6 plus steel, I think.
Yeah, okay. 2d6 plus steel.
Tear yourself away from this.
That's an 8.
8. On a 7+, they inflict harm on you. So mark 1 harm. And that's it. And what do? You know, they grab you. A club comes out of the dark and gives you a thump. But then it's up to you what you do.
I twist out of the grip, and I put my foot up, and I don't kick them. I kick the stone ruin wall that is precariously above us, and I just dig my foot into the bottom of that foundation and then duck and roll out of the way as it comes collapsing down among us.
Okay, let's have you roll to face a challenge. This is about, you know, are you swift enough to get out the way as much as anything else? So face a challenge. It sounds like it's going to take your strength to kick this, to cause a collapse, isn't it?
No sense to choose the right point for it.
To choose the right point.
Fully lever it on. I'm just thinking like
I'll go with that. Roll plus sense.
That's a 7.
Ooh, close run thing. You do it, but fate chooses one. You mark harm doing it. You are caught, but you've gained advantage. I think I'll give you advantage on the basis of this. Mark harm, and those of you watching in the firelight, they're in the shelter of some of this wall. You hear a shout of "Who are you?" And then some of the stone wall kind of collapses, and there's a, you know, chaos in the camp. Let me go first to Kadok. What do you do?
Yeah, let's add to the chaos in the camp, right? I'm on a horse. I look at Finn and I grin and I say, "Race you," and then I race off on my horse.
And just
to confront,
you know,
whatever thing
sweeping in among them.
Yeah, mostly just to exactly cause chaos.
Yeah.
And maybe if Solinus is in a bind, give him an opportunity to get in a better position at least.
Well, I mean, I've given Solinus the basis of an advantage based on the fact that they are disadvantaged by this. The wall collapses. There's somebody here, and now out of the darkness, you know, comes this mounted fury.
I'm happy to hand that advantage off to somebody else.
Yeah. So Caddock, what exactly are you trying to do them harm here?
I would try to, if there's someone who looks at least a little bit collected, like they have their senses about them, I would like to write them down.
Okay, let's assume that there is some kind of person in charge. This person in charge has their leader, inverted commas, has a single defense, a round shield. So let's see you ride him down.
Sure.
So roll to confront them. You have advantage. Roll plus steal, I think.
Yeah, fair. Well, it's a 14, so
That goes as well as it could do, couldn't it?
yeah.
On 7+, the shield is just bounces away. On 7+, that defense is raised, and you describe what that looks like, but the threat chooses 1. I think that you are surprised when the shield bounds away and they take something other than your life from you. I think that he grabs the halter of the horse as it goes past, and you spin out of the saddle. So he's taken your mounted advantage from you.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
But on a 10+, you also choose 1. Deflect their attack, take one less harm, force them to where you gain advantage, draw all threats menacing someone or something to you, leaving Solinus free and easy.
Yep, that sounds like a good idea. Because so, I know that I have Finn in my back, and there's Ethan who might do a thing, and Solinus is also there. So if they're all focused on me, that's fine. And I will get my horse back, and I will say to them, "Unhand my horse, you villain."
Well, let's see what happens. At the minute, you're dismounted. You're standing in the middle of the group of them around the fire, and they're all focused on you. Let me go next to. Let's go to Finn next, just to see what Finn's going to do. Because one's.
Are you sure Ivan hasn't had a?
Ivan might be able to unleash some kind of mystical hell. I don't know. Ivan, what are you thinking of?
It probably makes more sense for Finn to go. I think I'm probably going to be slightly less directly engaged here. So.
Okay, Finn, what do you do?
Okay, so what Finn's seeing is everyone's turned their attention onto Caddock. Solinus is scrambling away, and Delilah they've got their hands on Delilah. I think Finn's just going to leap into with his sword and without transforming for the moment, because he wants to use the goddamn sword.
Of course he does. Of course he does. Of course he does.
Oh, but quick question mechanically, the sword, you said something about it, disadvantage or advantage. I can't remember, but I didn't write it down.
I think it is of exceptional quality, which in the right hands would grant advantage.
Okay.
And
I'm not sure mine are the
right. Cancel the disadvantage you would normally experience using it. So it's a flat roll. Yeah.
It's flat.
The quality of the blade compared to your inexpertise use of it. So it's a flat roll as you charge in after Caddock. Let's see how it goes. The benefit that they have here, their defense is they outnumber you. So somehow you need to kind of break them up.
Yeah, so that'll be the intent to like
roll plus steal,
to crash into them and break them all apart.
Yeah.
And let's see. Now with my new move, demonic strength, I get to use soul instead of steel for this roll.
I think probably only when you transform.
No, not for demonic strength.
Oh, not for demonic strength?
It says when you confront them
when you confront them. No, fair point.
Yeah, it's not one of the transformations.
It's not one of those. No, it isn't.
It's from another playbook.
It is.
Does the fact that they're all concentrated on me give him some sort of advantage?
I think that's probably. I don't think so. Because I mean, I'm working with the inexpert sword wielder here, really. So go ahead. 2 dice plus steel, plus soul. Sorry.
That is a 15.
Well, how do you How does outnumbered cease to be an issue?
Uh-huh. I think what happens is it's that move. He jumps into they're all focused on Caddock, and he approaches them maybe from behind and just sweeps them away like bowling pins with the butt of his sword or the pommel of his sword.
Okay. Ivan, let me come to you. What do you have in mind, if anything, at this point?
Yeah, so I think Ethan is almost going to kind of ignore the chaos raging all around him, and is just going to kind of walk up to part of the sort of the wall of these ruins, and starts kind of just running his hand along the stone and the moss growing on it. And I would like to use my otherworld move here to try
Okay.
and contact the spirits. So I think we get a flashback to a time. It's maybe a kind of uh, a like a big longhouse feasting hall, as uh we can see kind of the light, sort of the light spilling out from inside, the smoke pouring out of the chimney. We can hear sort of the loud, boisterous sounds from inside, and we see kind of Nathan outside, kind of looking on, and he's going to walk up and rap his staff against the door, and the door is kind of opened by by an alewife who's going to kind of obviously lead him inside, and he'll be given some food and drink at the table, and we kind of see him chatting to the Saxon settlers as he's eating and drinking. But it's clear that at some point, and it's he obviously commits some sort of faux pas, and we see them kind of turning against him, and he's sort of ejected with a lack of ceremony kind of once the feasting is done. And I think, maybe just as he's leaving, he kind of mutters a curse under his breath, and carries on his journey.
I like that. Then that means you roll to look about you with advantage immediately.
Yep.
So roll plus sense.
Yep. I have this is the one. Yeah, that's right. I'm at -2 to this because of my longing,
Ah,
but rolling at advantage. So let's see how this works. That's a 7 in total.
wow. Okay, close run thing. Choose one. Ask a question about the location, situation, someone or something, what you think might have happened or what might happen next. Ask the fates to reveal a threat's weakness or confirm they have none. Or once per scene, one of the heroes can agree with the fates, a detail to add that enriches the fiction.
I think I'm interested in learning a little bit more about these ruins themselves, as we're here to kind of deal with whatever power is tied here. So I think that's my I think I will ask the spirits of this place what's the nature of the power that resides here.
And what form do these spirits take? Because again, we haven't used much of the FX budget yet.
Yeah, so I think maybe we'll kind of get glimpses. I think sort of the maybe the sort of the moss on the stone sort of shifts, and almost like forms like almost forms like a face. And I think maybe sort of from one of the flagstones as well, we maybe see kind of almost it looks like blood seeping out of the stone itself, to form almost like a little pool on the stones.
And therefore, what can I tell you about this and the nature of this power? I think that you get the clear impression, maybe we see some of that moss shrinking away from, I told you there was one of these Saxons was over there guarding a hole in the ground. I think you get the sense of the moss shrinking away from that and the blood flowing towards it, suggesting that the center of this power is over there, not with that group around the fire necessarily. Okay.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah.
Solinus, both the leader that Caddoc kind of attacked and the rest of them are now just scurrying about. It is possible to humble them if you want to do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
How do we see you seeking, when the threat has no defense, say what you do to put them at your mercy?
I think it is that I've clambered up, in the confusion, I've clambered up another one of these ruined sort of the part of the ruins, and I notch my bow, and I'm going to loose an arrow, and basically it's going to be, everybody freeze. The next person who does anything is going to have an arrow through their eye.
Fine. Let's have you roll. That sounds like steel, or are you saying sense for the accuracy of this?
I go with.
I think sense makes sense, actually.
Yeah, sense makes sense. I think we've
Of
done it
course
right.
it does. Sense always makes sense. So,
Finally, I rolled above a 10. So that's a full success.
fine. So, on a 7+, describe how you humble them. Well, you have done so. Do they receive your mercy, or once they begin to kind of freeze and maybe begin to drop their weapons, do you slaughter them all?
No, I don't. I think that first arrow thuds into the hand of one of them, and then another bow notches. And I go, hold your weapons. No more need to shed tonight.
If you spare a mortal threat, their settlement or faction owes you a debt. So I think that is that this band of hunters, stroke raiders, owes you a debt. Let's call them Wolf's Raiders. Owes you a debt. On a 10+, the fate says what they give you out of gratitude. I don't think I should say that. I think that move should say the fate asks you what they give you out of gratitude or what you take from their mortal remains. A weapon or shield, charm or trophy, or an insight that may be of value later. Insight.
Yeah. What brings you men to serve the darkness, to hold up in this cursed spot, and to prey upon the good people of Gwynedd?
I think that Wolf looks to that kind of bit of subsidence in the ground in the center of the to one side of the arena, where Ivan has already identified all is not well, and you hear as though someone or something is clambering up out of that hole. You hear rubble and stones and rocks being displaced as something or someone climbs out of that hole. And that's where we'll take our next commercial break. So it is just gone 5 to the hour. Is 4 minutes enough? Or again, Jose, I'm concerned you haven't had anything to eat. Are you okay? Okay. Shall we come back on the hour then?
Sure.
Fine. See you then. So back from the commercial break. You see these hunters, these raiders, Wolf's raiders, who were searching for Ivan. They've not seen him yet, so maybe that's all right. but something is emerging from that pit over there, or that hole in the ground over there, and they are backing away. Yeah, that's where we're at. And we're going to engage the apotheosis move for the end of a campaign. When the heroes believe they have collected the evidence they need to identify the greater darkness between the events they have experienced, they agree which single insight they consider most significant from each settlement, connecting them into a coherent narrative of who or what constitutes the greater darkness. So it's like a revelation, but you've got to pluck an insight from each of the other lists that you have. So I'm going to start with Thridingas. Down there on row 39, you'll find the insights that you got from Thridingas. Who'd like to start us off? Does anybody want to volunteer, or do you want me to pick?
I'd be happy to volunteer as.
Okay, Solinus, which one are you going to pick out of this?
I think it is that Merwin, the Fenlander leader, knows more than she is admitting and turned into a fish demon. Merwin, I believe, was it a Christian church they were part of?
It was certainly, there was a Christian symbol above one of the huts.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, it was that that's where we first encountered all across the lands. There are these symbols of the gods that are just superficial. They are betrayed by the reality of those who the darkest of evils. Witches who can turn into fish demons hide beneath the cross, beneath Woden's symbols, beneath everywhere. This is where we first saw these symbols subverted.
Okay, let's move on to Bran Garu. Does anyone want to pick one of those and connect it on Caddoc? Looks like Caddoc's under starter's orders.
Yes, I think I would like to take the fire in the church. Was start with brimstone, clear sign of hell, but it was only a sign of hell. But that was also where we met Mangus. And he started the fire, so he is the one who is associated with the smell of brimstone. Maybe he is in alliance with hell, or maybe he's only taking the trappings of hell, because why not at this point? Because he's taking the trappings of so many other things, right? So I think that's our clue here, is the trappings of hell were also present.
Okay, let's move on to Kaisester up in the hill country. Who wants to have a go at that? David, Jose, Ethan, Finn? This was the multiple bodies combined into zombies adventure.
Yeah, I was there for that one. Maybe I should do this one.
Okay.
Let me just look at it. Now, Fion was the bad, the big bad in that.
The dangerous loon, I think.
The dangerous loon who was dispatched, as I recall, right?
Yeah.
Let's take the Dark Wakes the Dead. That's a nice open-ended one.
Oh, the Dark Wakes the Dead. And, as the sun has set.
The sun has set, yes.
Okay. And finally, David, Garwlan offers...
Yeah, I think I'm going to go again for a relatively straightforward one here. I'm going to go for the consumption of souls. I think the idea that maybe some of these dark events are perhaps powering something or giving strength to it. Okay.
Now I've transferred all 4 of those onto the common moves tab all the way down on row 40. So these are the ones we're working with. And the way this works is, I think we have a narrative here about hidden demons and about consumption of souls and the dark being the root of the darkness. So they are never wrong. So whatever you roll, you will be right. Yeah, it's just it's a bit like the Forged in the Dark. What position will you be in when you face the dark? They are never wrong, so they immediately frame a scene in which they confront the greater darkness they have identified. So we frame the scene first, and those questions are just to the left-hand side of apotheosis. So who or what embodies the darkness? I'm going to go around in the same order approximately as I went round for that first trip round the insights. So that means I go to Solinus first. Who or what embodies the darkness? What do we see kind of just coming out of that pit that tells us who or what there is?
Who or what embodies the darkness? I mean, I feel like it's got to be Mangus, right?
Well, we've been setting him up
Yeah, it does
one way
have
or another since episode 2.
I just had a brief moment of it could be some horrific body horror type thing emerging from the depths. You know what? It is Mangus, but he is
Well,
much.
no, it's Mangus. Let's
Oh,
leave
okay.
our audience with that at this point. Let's see how it plays.
Let's leave our audience with the name that they've. Okay, sure.
Yeah, and then we'll see what happens. Where or when will you confront them? So I think Caddock, here and now, or do you want to try and draw it to a different location? Because you get to say.
I think right now I don't think we're the kind of group who would regroup and think about this and face him when the sun is high, which would be arguably a better choice. But no, he's here. We're here. We have swords. We have a mystic, and we have a Solinus. So I think, yeah.
That is the weakest question. I need to come up with a more interesting one. I apologize.
No, this might be actually a good question where we want to face them, but I think with this group, it just doesn't feel right if we wanted to do a little strategic thinking about the whole thing.
I mean, just to throw it out there, if it could be a case of the characters would obviously want to do it now, right? But perhaps whatever it is takes flight. We must pursue it and be on the road or whatever, right? Like
fair point. But here and now is what I'm hearing. Finn, which NPCs from any of this campaign? Clearly, Wolf's Raiders are there. Is there anyone else you want to be present in the scene? Are you attached to anyone?
Caddock has to okay this one, but I'm feeling like I want Father Boniface to show up somehow.
Father Boniface is going to be somehow involved. Okay. And finally, Aithan, what is it that, and it's appropriate that you've recently got rid of that fear temptation. What do you fear most as you collectively confront this darkness?
I think my greatest fear is that the corrupting power of this entity, it has the potential not merely to destroy us, but to turn us against that which we hold dear.
Yeah, fine. Thank you. I like that. Okay, so that's the setup. And so, yeah, I think we see the priest, late of Brangaru, Mangus, who was allowed to run off by Black Jel. And of course, there is a raven perched on the top of the ruins looking down with one eye. What do you do when you see Mangus emerge from this hole in the ground? I think I'm going to go to Caddock first, because this is a priest of God.
Oh, it's not a priest of God. That is an enemy of God,
Okay.
I think.
Oh, I've missed a step. Somebody needs to roll the dice. I'm sorry, I've got so carried away with a new move.
Yeah.
So Caddock, as you have your microphone on, Sabine, will you do the honors here? I want you to roll 2 dice plus the
Okay.
number of insights you have connected, which is
Oh.
4.
Okay. So 2 dice plus 4.
But Solinus, you have a 5th unknown insight at play here. What do you want that insight to be? Based on events here, perhaps.
That among the Roman ruins there is a frieze that depicts a what were they? You know, like the Roman religion was like the mystery cults, right?
Mhm.
Like that, you know, among there is a frieze of a figure that looks a lot like Mangus, very old and weathered. Praying
I'm
to
going
a
to call that this is not the first time ... Yeah, that's delightful. Thank you. So we've got 5 insights at play. You are going to roll 2 dice plus 5
Okay.
minus 3. So you're rolling plus 2, Caddock.
Plus 2. Okay.
There's a standard minus 3 on this roll. So
Okay.
you're rolling plus 2.
Okay. Well, that's a 7.
That's a 7. So
Good thing we had that extra insight.
on a 7 to 9, they have accurately predicted the starting situation. But the Fates holds one to either introduce allies of the Greater Darkness it has called to aid it, or introduce some twist that requires the heroes to reconsider their approach. Fine. I've got hold 1. I mustn't forget about it.
Mhm.
So, back to cases. Caddock, what do you do when you see the priest of God emerge from the hole in the ground?
I will exclaim that he is a false priest, and he's actually an enemy of God, and that we will end his reign of his misrule now and forever, and put him in the ground where he belongs.
And leap into the saddle and...
I think I need to roll my enemy of God move before I leap into anything.
I'll let you do that. Yeah.
And it's plus steel, which is nice. So let's take these 2. Come on, die. Let me make him an enemy of God. It's a 7 again, which is kind of
Disappointing.
well, I mean, I hold 1 to spend an hour later in a session to say how a vision identifies an enemy of God against whom when I roll with advantage. And also God tells me to do something I consider dishonorable before leaving a settlement in return for this help.
I don't think the move works in this context because you're not in a settlement here.
Yeah.
So you haven't, I shouldn't have let you roll that because it's when you arrive at a settlement, you're not at a settlement.
Oh,
So
right. Yes.
we'll put enemy of God
Okay.
to one side.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Okay,
In
my
which case I will just, you know what? I think in that case I will just attack him.
Okay, fine. So Caddock leaps onto Delilah's back,
Mhm.
spurs his warhorse into action, and charges at Mangus.
Yeah.
Finn, what do you do?
And do I get to roll that,
Oh no,
or?
I want to know what everybody's doing because I've got a hold 1 to play with here. So I want to know what the setup is before I decide to spend it. Finn, what are you going to do?
I think Finn has been smelling something wrong the whole time, and he knew that these raiders were not the real bad here. But when he sees Mangus arise from the crypt or whatever it is, the area below, I think he lets out a growl and actually drops his sword, his new plaything, and he transforms. Because he can feel the threat coming off of Mangus, and he knew Mangus was bad news, and Black Jel should have never let him go.
What terrible memory do you summon up to trigger the unleashing of the beast?
Oh, wow. I think my compatriots don't know about this, but after we left, wait a second, let me get the name of the town right. Sorry. Was it Keister? Yes, Keister.
Yeah.
After they left Keister and I was separated from them, we see an image of Finn running with the wolf pack and cornering Tellery, the grower, and growling at her, and teeth bared and everything. And Tellery says, "Please, please, I didn't know he would raise those abominations. It's not my fault." And we just see Finn jump at her, and we don't see what happens.
No, blood spray cut.
Blood spray cut.
Okay. Ivan, what about you? What approach are you intending to take? Just so I know what my setup is.
Yeah, I think perhaps unsurprisingly, Ethan is going to start trying to summon the spirits of this place to do battle against against Magnus.
Fine. And finally, Solinus, how are you going to approach this situation? Or do you want to sit still and see what happens?
Crouch like Batman up on top of this ruined pillar.
Leap up the rubble to a point of, and the raven flutters away. Yeah, and draw a bead.
Exactly.
Okay, then I think probably I'm going to go to draw a bead first. Then I'm going to do a bit of summoning spirits, and then Caddock and Finn will hit the priest running, so to speak.
Mhm.
So Solinus, what do you do?
I fire the bow directly at the eye of Magnus.
Okay, I will tell you that Mangus has a defense called Control Command of the Air. And as the arrow takes flight, you can see that the air around him is beginning to swirl in such a way as to try to protect him from your arrow. So let's see how that goes, shall we?
Does that put me at disadvantage?
No, that is just the roll plus steel or sense to pick your moment. Take your pick.
Sense. Yeah, sense.
Sense. Go ahead.
That is a 12.
On a 7+, that defense is erased as you describe what that looks like. What do we actually see then? Despite this kind of swirling, the dust of the arena begins to swirl and create a shield for him.
I think the first arrow goes straight into that swirl and it gets caught up in it, and Mangus does the typical sort of villainous smile mockingly, and then Solinus aims slightly up and fires his bow, and it bounces off the stone above him and clatters down and great above it, a ricochet shot.
But the threat chooses
systematically across the cheek,
But the threat chooses one. They use one of their powers if they have one. He's going to use a power. But let's see what else. So Ivan, I think let's go to how you.
I get to choose.
Oh, you get a 10+. You get a 10+. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think that forces them to where the next person will gain advantage on them.
Yeah. So poor old Mangus is already disadvantaged, and his single defense has been just blown away. As this wall of air disperses by the distraction you've created. Ivan, what do you do?
Yeah, so I think Ethan, the little pool of blood that he summoned out of the stone earlier, he's going to kind of reach down, dip his fingers into it, and sort of rake them over his eyes, leaving a trail of blood over them. And he is going to call out to Morrigan, the Lady of the Underworld, and to Camulos, to summon back the spirits of the warriors who died here entertaining the Romans. Yeah.
Miracles and wonders. Truly, they are miracles and wonders. So let's have you roll to invoke your gift.
Yeah, certainly.
Call on your patron to empower your gift. Agree with fates what success looks like. I think it gives you some spirit gladiators to deploy. Roll plus favor.
Sure thing. Ooh, that is not looking good. That is, I think, a 5, if I remember my correct favor at the minute. Yes, indeed.
You always have the option to help yourself. It's a common move. Either owe your patron a debt or assert your free will, and you could re-roll those, because this is definitely, you know, a mystical thing you're doing. It fits your calling.
I think I am going to I think I'm going to assert my free will. And I think as Ethan summons forth these spirits, he is going to be possessed by the wrath and fury of these warriors.
I like that. So mark wrath, and you can re-roll one or both of those die.
I'm going to re-roll both of those.
With a 1 and a 2, who wouldn't?
Yeah. That's better. That's a 9.
9. So on a 9, you are going to get your spirit warriors. 7 plus becomes 7 to 9. You choose one, but fate adds a complication. You attract unwelcome attention. Your gift exceeds your desired effect. The gift takes more from you than you had expected. I think the gift takes more from you than you had expected. Mark 1 harm.
Certainly. And I also marked, I've also marked 1 harm for invoking it as well.
Fine.
As it seemed appropriate.
It did. But yes, what does this look like? I mean, again, give me some visuals here for the FX budget.
Yeah, sure thing. I think at first it's subtle. There is kind of a, you know, the wind picks up a little bit. There's a sort of chill to the air, maybe a little bit of, mist starts sort of rolling across the floor of the amphitheater. And then it very, very suddenly isn't subtle, as there's kind of gouts of blood gush out of the ground, spraying around, and out of these sort of fountains of blood appear these, obviously kind of Celtic warrior types, all dressed in their sort of in their kilts and the like, as they surge forth, kind of not exactly spectral. There's certainly an ethereal element to them, but I think they're a bit more visceral looking than that. Sort of
well, they start incorporeal, but then as these blood spatters coat them, they take on a more corporeal shape. I like that. And then Caddoc and Finn charging Mangus. But Caddoc, as you charge towards him, you begin to see the power that Mangus has unleashed. He is in fact a demon. He stands up and his skin begins to split up the front. And clawed hands and limbs begin to kind of emerge from inside the skin of this man. And an 8 to 12 foot tall insect-like, compound red glowing eyed, bat-winged, horned, classic demon with scythe-like appendages at the end of its limbs. Just about stands on its feet before you hit it.
Yeah.
I
was supposed to protect him. I wonder why. I don't care right now.
God moves in mysterious ways.
I don't.
This thing has 3 defenses: a
Mhm.
long reach, a tough chitinous plates covering it, and a high pain threshold. What do we see you doing to overcome one of those? So which one do you want to have a crack at? You know, long reach. Do we see you do something athletic to get underneath the claws so you can strike? Or, you know, is this just coming up and whapping it to break through these plates? What do we see?
I think breaking through these blades might be something that Finn actually has a better chance than me because of his super strength. So, no.
Yeah.
Long reach. We got a Solinus who can duck under that. I think I'm attacking the high pain threshold.
Fine.
I know that I'm a little better at hitting more precisely than Finn. So I will go for I think maybe some sort of joint, like some kind of hip joint. So every time it moves, it's like
Okay. I go with steel or sense on this. The force of the blow or picking the spot.
I mean, since I'm going for high pain threshold, I feel it should be sense, right?
I think picking the spot is where it goes. Yeah, I think you're right. Roll
Okay.
+1.
Okay, I'm rolling +1. Okay. Nice, be nice. Yeah, it's a 12.
Oh, will you look at that?
Yeah, we'll start out strong.
On a 7+, that defense is a raise. So there's this kind of inhuman shriek, as of course it has all kinds of mouth parts that screech. But the threat chooses 1. I think it is going to use one of its powers.
Oh no.
Solinus, from your point of observation above this, you begin to see Wolf's men, their eyes begin to glow red, and they begin to transform. We'll come back to what into in a moment. Finn.
Can I just wait just a second? I had a 12. I got to
you
choose
did.
one more.
You did. Thank you for that.
I think what I want to do. Oh, I could sacrifice an item of gear to block. No, I can't sacrifice an item of gear to stop them from using their power, right?
No, afraid not.
Okay, that's fine. In which case, I will just do the whole I think since drawing all threats menacing something to me doesn't give anyone advantage, and so I will force them where I gain advantage that I can then give to someone else.
I need to phrase that to where they are at disadvantage, and then anybody could exploit it. It makes
yeah. And what I want to do is I want to make them move, and they have a wounded hip, so yeah, that's going to put them at a disadvantage.
And I think, you know, you kind of come at it, the horse goes past, you swing at it, and it turns towards you, putting it at disadvantage relative to Finn. So Finn, what do you do?
So it's turned away from me. Is that what we just heard?
You have advantage if you choose to exploit it.
What happens with double advantage? That's it's nothing.
Okay,
so but I don't have to exploit this advantage.
You don't have to, no.
If I already have advantage, okay.
If you already have advantage, it can just sit there.
Okay, I think Finn is going to so he's not taking the advantage from being behind him. He's going to try to lure the reach of these insectivorous arms, and as they come towards him, he's going to try to break them off as they grasp for him. So he's leaping around the demon.
Okay. Is this, are you doing this with a bit of cunning to pick your moment, or are you just going in there?
No, it's brutally ripping his arms out.
Fine. So this,
if that's okay.
one of its many limbs.
There's so many limbs to pull off.
There's so many limbs and so little time. So I think this is probably steel, or in your case, not steel.
Right. And then I also have advantage and +1 because of the because of my wear form. So
You do.
okay, so let's do it.
I mean, what could go wrong?
Well, famous last words, right? All right, let's see what happens. So that is a 9 + 4 is yeah, it's a 13.
Oh,
I get to
so
rip
yeah,
some arms off.
I mean, I think we see you in there, throwing limbs away, just tearing the longest limbs away. Removes that. I think now we will begin to see that Wolf's men. You may remember all the way back in Brangaru, where the lady and the lady's daughter were at the front of the church and got hit by some stray magic that came from something underneath the altar, and they were converted into these great kind of malformed hounds. So Wolf's men now constitute a pack of hellhounds, glowing red eyes, enormous shoulders, spikes, jaws, claws, etc. But that's just on a 7+. It takes the opportunity to inflict harm on you, because clearly Finn getting that close to it means that it's got a chance to do some serious damage to you. It is a larger than mortal, and it's going at you with tearing these things off. It's attacking you while you're doing it. You're going to take 2 harm.
So which move was that? That was confront.
Sorry, that's confront
violence?
them on a 7+. I do
Right.
that, but then on a 10+, you also choose, for instance, deflect their attacks and take -1 harm.
Oh, right. Let's see.
Because you
Let me
got
just
multiple
quickly-
numbers.
So many arms. Wait a second. It's deflect, force them. They're already at a disadvantage.
They are.
Draw all threats menacing to you. Sacrifice an enemy. Yeah, why don't I just deflect one of their harms?
Fine. So just take 1 point of harm.
Okay. And so
but
Finn
you
keeps
have-
jumping around.
You have taken the second of their defenses away.
Okay.
Let me come to Ivan, because I'm curious what you're going to do with your raised spirits.
Yeah, sure thing. I think Ivan's original plan was to unleash the spirits on this demon, but yeah, Kadok has indeed predicted, seeing these hellhounds rise up. I think he's going to command the spirits to engage with the hellhounds.
And yeah, there's that moment where they're looking around, and then they see them, they turn, and in unleashing some kind of ancient British war cry, charge at these hounds, who kind of take for them as well. I think the way I'm going to play that, rather than tracking an NPC versus an NPC combat, is we'll run that as face a challenge.
Sure.
You'll deal with them on that basis. Solinus, all of this is going on down there. You're 15 feet up. What do you do?
So we still got the Wolf Raiders transforming into.
They are charging at Ivan's raised spirits, but they haven't made contact yet.
No, I haven't raised spirits to deal with them, so I feel like that's in
That's
hand.
what they're for.
Yeah, that's what they're for. Yeah. I wouldn't want to undercut that by. It doesn't feel like I need to step in front of them and go, "Remember who you are," kind of thing, and cash in that debt with them. I will. What's Mangus doing at the moment?
The demon is flailing about. There's a kind of rolling maul with Finn, and limbs are coming out, and maybe some of Finn's blood is scattering away, and Kadok is turning, I'm guessing, Delilah to come at the demon again. But
Yeah.
this is 8 or 12 feet tall. There's plenty of demon to go at.
I will leap atop the demon from the. That seems the most cinematic thing to do, right?
Yeah, I think I'm going to make you face a challenge to do that before you can do any harm to it. But I love the idea of you kind of leaping onto its back. If that's okay with you, because that's
Yeah.
what in my head I see.
Okay.
Yeah, or do you want? No, you can use
I,
it.
I
No,
just
no,
feel
no,
like it's
you
going
can
to be
do
the
this.
same thing as had happen again, and I'm not going to get
It
a chance
is.
to
It
my
is. It
actual
is.
move.
No, it
Yeah.
is. So go ahead, do your thing.
Um. I mean, they don't seem to have a totem or anything on them, do they? I think.
When you say who or what you want to deprive of something, say what and roll plus sense.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I want to deprive them of. I want to deprive them of their sight.
Um,
I want to shove my cloak over. I want to take my cloak and wrap it
okay,
around.
okay, I'll go
You
for
know,
that. I'll go for
nimbly
that.
sort of like attach myself to this vast creature's back and pull it around their eyes.
Because the only thing I can think it's still got is the cross that was hanging around Mangus's neck. That's the only thing I can think that it has.
Yeah,
But no, I'm prepared to go for that.
yeah. I suppose that would be a look about me, wouldn't it?
No, because when you say who or what you want to deprive of something, you say what it is and roll plus
Yes.
sense.
Yeah. No, I mean to establish that might be a weakness of it, kind of thing would have been.
Oh, I
Good
see what you mean. Look
Yeah.
about you would be to get a weakness. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we know their weakness? Yeah.
No, not yet.
No. Then you know what? I take it back. I use my perch as I look around and I scramble, and I'm gonna use my perch to look about and try and see its weakness.
Fine. Let's have you roll to look about you. Roll plus sense.
That is an 8.
On an 8, ask me a question.
Um,
What is its weakness?
what is its weakness?
One of the reasons I think that when Finn hit it and when Caddock hit it, it shied away. It is protecting that cross.
I'll yell out the cross, and I'll bunch my legs underneath me for waiting for my moment to leap and grab it. But over to the others.
Ivan, let's deal with let's see how your spirits do against these hellhounds, these demon hounds of hell. Face a challenge. I think this is the power of your faith that you could do this. So I think it's roll plus soul.
Sure thing. That is just a 7.
Okay. On a 7 to 9, so say what success looks like. Is this about beginning to tear them to shreds, or is this about trying to frighten them off, or what?
I think probably just tearing them to shreds at this point. Both the spirits and me are quite angry, so I think that's probably the primary focus.
You do it, but the fate chooses one. It takes. I think it's going to take longer than you'd hoped. No. Respite is temporary. I think that as you are tearing them apart, you notice that they begin to reform. So they are a continuing challenge, I think, is what I'm setting up here. They need to be kept off the backs of the others, or they could be flanked themselves.
Sure thing.
Finn is engaged. Caddock, I in my mind's eye, I've seen you, wheel Delilah around, and what do?
Yeah, I mean, I heard Solinus call out for the cross thing, right? And I think yeah, maybe I should take it from him. I don't know. God wanted me to protect this thing, and I'm pretty mad right now. I'm angry, and this still has this defense left, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chitinous plates.
Yeah, so I think I'll just go wailing at it, because taking the cross, what the hell, God? What the fucking hell? I am over you. I'm hitting this thing with my sword, and yeah.
And at that point, time freezes, Caddock.
Oh no.
And standing beside you is a one-eyed man in a hood.
Uh-huh.
And the All-Father looks up at you with one piercing eye and says, Now you understand. It's
Oh,
about
fuck
the
you too.
rage.
Go away.
It's about the blood. It's about the victory, Caddoc. Now you understand.
Don't get it. It's not about that. It's about protecting the ones that I love. That's what it's about.
And then time starts again.
Yeah.
And you are wailing at this thing. Go
Yeah.
for it. Roll plus steel.
Yeah. Okay. Come on, dice, be nice to me now. Nope. It's a 6.
Roll to help yourself.
I would owe a favor to my God, right? I would have to call on God to do
You
that.
would. You would.
No, I'm not. You know what? I'm not. I'm over God and the whole thing.
Can I
And
help?
that's when Father Boniface appears. Time freezes. Father Boniface appears on the other side of the horse. And Boniface says, don't cross the line, Caddoc. Don't cross the line, or the Lord God will punish you.
I have crossed the line last night, very deeply, and very happily. You know what? Father was the best thing I ever did. If I die now and God takes me to hell, well, fuck God.
No, God doesn't take you to hell. He simply burns one of the debts you owe him to put you at disadvantage.
That's fine.
But then, we're stuck with the 6.
I mean, I'm still stuck with the 6, so.
Yeah, you take
Okay.
harm.
Okay.
So from this, that's 2 harm, though your mail will do you a bit of good, I think.
Yeah.
But you take harm, and they choose 1 from the 7+ list. They take something other than your life from you. The horse goes past, you don't. So
Okay.
you tumble onto the ground, you're on foot.
That's fair.
Finn, there's a pause. Caddoc does that thing, and there you are. Tough chitinous plates remain a problem.
Chitinous plates remain a problem. So now that he's lost a number of arms, that's what you call them on insects, arms?
Yeah.
Yes.
Limbs.
Limbs. Appendages. At least the longest ones. Now Finn's gonna jump for the throat, I think. Or the plate or the armoring that's on the
Try to
on the
shatter
chest.
the plates. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do
see.
that thing. Confront this threat. I think there's an advantage to be had still.
Oh, okay. I'll take the advantage.
Because there was the original advantage that sat still. Go for it.
Actually, no, this is at a +4, so maybe I don't. Well, famous last words.
Far be it
Maybe
for
I'll
me to
leave the advantage for the next person who's got to humble
Okay.
them. So let's try just doing 2. So that's a 9.
That's a 9. So on a 7+, you crack. Tell me, I mean, is this tearing that apart, or is it just thumping through it? What do we see?
Oh, I was going to do something, but I forgot. And now, oh, well, it's fine. I was going to use my magical acorn to like pop it through his chest, but that's okay. In this case, I think there's a punch through the cracks the chest plate of the demon, and he lets out a howl.
Fine. Go, yeah. And then it is going to use one of its powers. It leaps into the air and begins to fly.
Oh no, flying.
Using those bat-like wings, leaving you on the ground. But you, and that's it for you. Ivan, let's see whether Solinus is going to have a chance to do his heroic leap. Can you hold off the demon hounds of hell? Roll to face the challenge. Roll plus soul.
Yeah, I think we see Ethan begin to sing a battle song, and we sort of see the spirits redouble their efforts against the hellhounds, and that's an 11.
And tear through them. You know, this wild Celtic rush, screaming at these creatures, and they tear them to shreds. Solinus, Mangus the demon, has leapt into the air, perhaps seeking to flee. What do you do?
Run, jump to the next bit of rock that tumbles beneath my feet, and then leap onto his back. Now let's try that light-fingered.
Let's try that light-fingered.
Yes. I did not get a 10 plus, I don't think, so I don't roll with advantage here.
But you can take the advantage. I didn't use it.
Oh,
Exactly.
perfect. Take that.
Yeah.
It still has this hurt hip, so you can use that.
Yeah.
Yeah, all its defenses are gone. Let's see if you can finish it.
A 12 on the die. Guys, so yeah,
Wow.
light-fingered. On a 10 plus, I succeed in depriving them of it, and yeah,
No downside.
no downside. Yeah, I think
Take that.
Leap across, just entwined around like one of those, like on its back, those wings buffeting on either side of me, and it reaches back with one of those insectile arms and flings me down to the ground. Where I think I crash down, like, gentle landing perhaps by one of Ivan's spirits, suddenly, forming around me, the wisps of the air or whatever, right? And then as I roll over, I just pull up my hand and have that black crucifix in one hand.
And now you can exploit a weak because it kind of it just crashes to the ground and is struggling without that cross. I'm not, I want to see whether Caddoc working with God's disadvantage can humble it. The advantage of now exploiting this weakness that Solinus has exposed cancels that disadvantage, so it's a flat roll.
Nice. Okay, I'll try my best, I guess.
Plus steel.
Plus steel.
Destroy it, Caddoc. Cast it into the air.
It's a 10.
It's a 10.
It's a 10.
On a 7 plus, describe how you humble them. They're at your mercy. Do they receive it or do you end them?
They're a demon from hell. I mean, this does not.
Who was masquerading as a priest?
Yeah, and it had its chance when Black Jel let it go. It could have gone and thought about its life choices and stuff like that, but no, it had to go on and wreak havoc across the land. And no, I'll end it.
I think that I want to literally end it. Tell me something about what happens when Caddoc applies that killing blow. Then tell me something that happens to this demon. I want everyone to contribute to the destruction of this thing.
Yeah, I think as the sword pierces its flesh, we start to see kind of wisps of shadowy energy kind of spurting out of it and dissipating on the night breeze.
Finn, build on that.
And I think we see Wolf and his men, as those shadows disperse by them. They their eyes clear up, and they come to their senses. And
And promise to be good people in the future. Solinus.
Always.
I think that this demonic form, in classic demonic form, howls in fury and dissipates, being sucked back down into that subterranean hole, leaving behind the the body of Mangus, the host that it's known for centuries, perhaps.
Oh, wow. Caddock. What do you do with Mangus?
I mean, it's dead, right?
Do you want it to be dead?
Let's just take off the head, just to be sure.
Then
No point.
he raises it with a weak hand, and says something in Roman.
I do actually speak Latin, a little at least, so
Yes.
I will tell him to just die. I don't speak very much Latin, but I can say that.
So there is no moment when, as the hand of the demon is sucked into hell, there's a cry of, I'll be back.
No.
And that, I think, is our climactic scene done. I would like to do some epilogues, just to give you a chance to epilogue your way out of this. Let's start in the order I can see you here. Ithan. Oh, no, let me do a different way. Does anyone want their epilogue to be in the immediate aftermath? Anyone, in the next week or month, or anyone who's further away than that? Anyone in the immediate aftermath? No? Okay. A week or a month away? Yeah, I'm seeing Caddock nodding wildly. Caddock, what do we see of Caddock down the road?
I mean, it kind of depends on what we see of Finn, a little.
You can start. I'll follow on you.
Okay. I think what we see is Caddock looks a little even more scruffy than usual. He has taken off the cross that he was wearing. Yep. And but he still has a sword because, there is still darkness in the land and still needs to be fought, and the gods can all go and whatever themselves. But what we got us humans, so that should be enough. And I think that's what he's actually saying to some priest who came up to him and said, "But you know the truth of the Lord." And he's like, "Yeah, no."
Father Boniface.
Yeah, Father Boniface. So this time not just as an appearance, but the real person. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know. Go over the ocean and preach to the heathens there. Maybe they'll listen to you, or maybe they'll eat you. Who knows?"
Finn, did you want to build out of that?
Yeah, I'll just see maybe another scene where it's another swordplay scene, another lesson for Finn. Only this time he's doing better, and Caddock looks different. He looks scruffier. He doesn't look all shiny and knightly, and he's coming at Finn with a grin on his face, like really letting loose. And Finn also has a big grin on his face, and Caddock pushes him up against a tree, and we'll just cut there.
Like that. Ithan, what do we see of you as an epilogue?
Yeah, I think maybe we see the hall of a lord, or maybe not actually a hall, but kind of so there's some sort of outdoor feasting going on. Sort of a noble looking lord and his lady and they're sort of warriors sat around them feasting, and we see kind of we just see Ethan sort of watching them from a perch up on a sort of branch of a tree, and then we see him sort of hop down and walk towards them, and that's kind of just where we see the epilogue for him.
You, and finally Solinus.
I think I think that what we see is a boat, a ship sailing upon rough seas and tides, and sailors rushing backwards and forwards in the storm, and we cut to the sort of the hold of the ship where you see a very pale looking Solinus vomit in a bucket, And then from behind him, you hear, eat this, it will calm your stomach upon the seas. And Solinus turns around and says, "Ah, Prince of a far off land, I'll believe it when I see it." As he and Black Jel go back to the land that Black Jel was the prince of.
Thank you for that, because I think I'd have referenced Black Jel if you hadn't. Though in mine it was going to be a conversation with Woden, but let's put that to one side. And that is our series.
The mast of the ship, perhaps, as a raven aloft upon
A
the crow.
raven, one-eyed raven, looking down. Should we just do a quick round of stars just for that one? Because it's not like we've got anywhere to wish to yet. So, so in a similar kind of order, Sabine, any stars for that one or anything else?
Stars? No, yes, of course. Everyone was great. Jose, I love that we got the scene that we were kind of planning this. So, yeah, I love that we got there. I will do an anti-star for myself. I totally messed up my epilogue, and I should have talked to Solinus about the whole we don't need gods thing, we just need us humans thing. Maybe we can just rewind a little and have that in our minds, yeah. And I really loved how Solinus acted, and I always like seeing Ethan's mythic side and these ghost spirits that he called. That was epic, and that was actually super useful because, hey, these wolf guys would have fucked us up, but they didn't, and we got the demon. So yeah, and star to you, Alan, for the pacing. You were worried. We are 1 minute out, so I will stop now.
Thank you for that. Jose, any stars?
Oh yeah, stars all around. It was a great session. Sabine, I love the crisis of faith around Caddick in this session, and that really worked out amazing. I also liked, Will, the way you were doing kind of Solinus's faith after the trip to the monastery, and like you were like working the Christian faith in Solinus in a way that you hadn't in previous episodes, and so I really liked that. And David, again, the visions of the spirits, the fountains of blood, the battle songs, all of that was a great backdrop for some of the more, hack and slash that my character does. So that was a lot of fun. And Alan, thank you for the whole run. Thank you for the perfect pacing. Thank you for, the good spirits throughout all of it. So yeah, great times.
David, any stars?
Yeah, no, again, definitely stars all around. I really enjoyed the session. I like that we got those kind of some quiet character moments in before we got into the sort of sort of high octane finale. That was great. Yeah, I really liked seeing the relationship building between Finn and Caddock was awesome. I really liked sort of seeing Solinus's kind of reflections on his time at the monastery was cool, and then the whole climactic scene was really awesome. I loved seeing everyone kind of pulling off some really awesome moments in that. Was really great. And I mean, I thought again it flowed really nicely. It all fit together well. Kind of we got a nice ending to this. So no, thank you very much, all.
And finally, Will.
Yeah, what everyone else said, I will give a particular one to seeing the spirits join our battle. I really would love to see more. We've ever really had like a priest of God or a druid of God, particularly not one that's ever used like the powers in sort of a fairly overt way. Tends to be more like mild praying or stuff like that. And so it was really nice to see combat. I'd love to see more of that in Eotenweard, along the lines of Blackwind's golden magic hand and stuff like that. Having Mangus pay off in the end, that was great. And Finn and Caddock's relationship, that was a nice little thing to throw in at the end there. So those are all my stars, and I will put some of my thoughts that I had about the system overall in our Google chat, I guess. Yeah.
Great. Stars from me, yes, David, that was, we saw the soft side of the mystic, but then that was those I raised some ancient British spirits to attack a bunch of hellhounds. That was fantastic. And I've never thought of summon in Miracles and Wonders being used on that in that kind of way. It was fantastic. It was great. I did enjoy interacting with Caddoc, both as Woden and as Father Boniface. That was very pleasing, one after the other. Thank you for that. I loved the scene, Jose, that you and Sabine had as Finn and Caddoc, and that relationship, the way that has kind of gone along and finally flowered. And I'm so pleased, Will, that you were able to leap at a demon and steal something from it. You know, what more could you want? What more could you want? I'm not sure that move is right yet, but there's something there to be had. So thank you for that.
It'll not be the
And
entire campaign to actually roll it, I think, you know.
and so can I just check in? Are we okay for me to post that recording? Thank you very much. And with that, I will